Hey there, Danielle Matthews here. I'm coming to you live from Florida. And if you are new to my page, new to my content, I help entrepreneurs, I help driven professionals master their inner dimensions, understand their inner world, and manage their mind so they can decrease stress, increase productivity, increase confidence, and create the results they're wanting. So on Mondays, we have book club. And all of my book club members that join me live, when you jump on, please let me know that you're here. We are jumping into the end of chapter 8 this week. So we've been reading The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Incredible book. It was recommended to me with the most powerful recommendation. The woman said, if there was one book you could read in your lifetime, and only one, this is the book to read. And so far, I have to say, she didn't lie. It has not been a disappointment. And if you understand these principles here, absolutely, it will set you free in life. It will set you free to create the life that you desire and have inner peace as you do it. Hey, Charlotte. Hey, Fritz. Thanks for letting me know that you're here. Hey, Karen. Good morning, beautiful souls. We are diving into the end of chapter 8, which just, if you're not with us in book club and you're catching this one off, it is going to be relevant, I promise. Chapter 8 is all about enlightened relationships. I don't know about those of you that have been with me in book club up to this point, but put a 1 in the chat if this was like a heavier chapter. Like you really had to digest some stuff because it got personal, right? Our most personal things are relationships with those that we love. It was really, really deep. And I don't know about you guys. I had to read it a couple times to really pull out all of the dynamics of what he was saying. So I believe we'll be able to get a good summary. Good, I'm seeing 1s in the chat now. Yeah, some of you might be a little delayed from me, so make sure you speed up in the live to where I am now. Or it might just be that my chat is delayed. Technology. All right, so jumping into this, he essentially said, and this was why it was so heavy, he said the state of things today are so amiss. Because we have identified so much with our mind, identified so much with our own ego, we have forgotten that we are more. We have forgotten the being behind it all. We have forgotten the witness. We have forgotten that, there is something there before, during, and after every thought. We think we are the thoughts, right? It's as if a character or an actor was playing a character in a movie, and it's forgotten that it's an actor, and it believes it's the character in the movie. He basically sets it up and says, that's our problem. We've been so identified with the mind, the actor has become so identified with the character, that things are a bit of a mess. And I want to read this to you because I've never thought about it. This is the only life that I remember living, whether I've lived others or not. But he talks about how relationships are now and that they're such a mess now. And basically he says, as humans, we become increasingly identified with the mind, and most relationships are not rooted in being, and so turn into a source of pain and become dominated by problems and conflict. So he's saying the reason relationships are difficult is because our inner world and our inner relationship with our own mind is challenging. He says millions are now living alone or as single parents, unable to establish an intimate relationship or willing to repeat the insane drama of a past one. When I read that, I thought, oh my gosh, it's true. There are a lot of single moms that I'm aware of that are in my world. Not to say there's not single dads also, but just what I'm aware of in my world. He said others go from one relationship to another, from one pleasure-pain cycle to another, in search of the elusive goal of fulfillment through union with the opposite energy polarity. And I was thinking, wow, yeah, isn't it so true? There are people that jump relationship to relationship to relationship looking for it and never finding it. And he says still others compromise. This hit me. Compromise and continue to be together in a dysfunctional relationship in which negativity prevails for the sake of the children, for security, through force of habit, fear of being alone, or some other mutually beneficial arrangement, or even through the unconscious addiction to the excitement of emotional drama and pain. I was like, whoa. He's not kidding that humanity has reached an interesting point, because when you look around, neighbors, family, friends, there's a lot of dysfunction. I see a lot of those things. People just putting guards up, putting walls up and saying, I'm just not going there anymore. I'm just going to be alone and I'll live life alone. Others jumping, is it here? Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? And others saying, well, this is just going to have to be good enough because we've got kids together, or they've got money and the stuff that I want, and so I'm just going to make it work. Or I don't believe I can earn, so I have to be with this person. Like, there are so many crazy dynamics. So this chapter was deeply personal, if you let it be, because he was really talking about things and talking about how we're at a crisis point. And I love, crisis is the intersection of danger and opportunity. I think there's a Chinese symbol for crisis, and I forget, I want to say it's something like this. I should have looked this up before. But basically, it's the intersection of opportunity and danger. That's a crisis point, because a crisis can open us up into amazing things, or it can also spiral us down deeper if we don't learn the lesson and catch what we're supposed to be learning. And he says, relationships energize and magnify the egoic mind patterns and activate our pain body. So they're a crisis point, because the ego mind gets triggered a lot in relationships, because there's a lot of things going on for us to get triggered by. And he says, why not cooperate with this instead of avoiding the relationship or continuing to pursue some phantom ideal partner? Why not go into the relationship realizing, wait a second, this is going to reveal to me a lot, right? This is going to reveal to me things within me that my mind is thinking or doing or saying that maybe aren't helpful. Put a 2 in the chat if you're with me. You guys with me? This was like, I was like, how do I tee up this chapter to talk about with you guys? Because it's like, it's a lot. It's a lot. So this crisis that we're all in, that the state of humanity is in. Okay, good. You guys are with me. He says basically, use your relationship as your sadhana, as your spiritual practice. And I thought, well, isn't that brilliant, right? We've talked about on here before that life can just be used as a therapeutic irritation, if you choose to look at it that way. Every single day, you're being triggered by things, right? Stuff is going off in your mind. And you can either blame and externalize and tell someone to stop, or scream at them, or tell them not to treat you in that way, put some boundary up. Or you can go, wait a second, what got triggered within me? And in relationships, we so easily blame the other because we thought they were going to be the solution to our problems. They were going to make us feel whole, because at one point they did. And when they stop, all of a sudden we blame them, rather than going inside and going, oh, there's something inside of me. This is my need, to be liked. This is my need for whatever it might be. My not wanting to feel abandoned, right? There's all of these needs that get kicked up in a relationship. And if we choose to go in skillfully, insightfully, with this kind of spiritual practice in mind, relationships are a beautiful playground for transformation. All right. And that's why he says, use the relationship as your sadhana, as your spiritual practice. Because I love this. Fritz and I were talking about this this week. Unconsciousness and knowing cannot exist for long, right? When you're reactive, and then you realize that you're reactive and that it's an internal thing, those two things can't coexist. Once you realize, once you know, the unconsciousness goes away and you see your part in it and you go, oh, I can work on this, right? It's that internal karma. So I thought this was really interesting. And he talks about how this was intense. I think this is why I felt the heaviness. Like Angela said too, this chapter felt like, oh, wow, there's heaviness here. Humanity is under great pressure to evolve because it is our only chance of survival as a race. I read that and I went, whoa. And I believe it. I think that if we don't start going more inward into our beingness, into the thing that connects all of us and to nature, yeah, we're going to be our own worst enemy. It's like we're going to destroy the planet, ourselves, the people around us, because the ego does that. And the ego needs pain to exist. And the ego needs strife, right? Charlotte's saying true. Yeah. So the work we're doing here in reading this book and having these conversations is really powerful. He says, never before have relationships been as problematic and conflict-ridden as they are now, which I thought was shocking. I never considered it. He says, they are not here to make you happy or fulfilled. If you continue to pursue the goal of salvation through a relationship, you will be disillusioned again and again, right? The relationship is not going to save you. Only you can save you. But if you accept that the relationship is here to make you conscious instead of happy, then the relationship will offer salvation. If we can use the relationship to make us conscious, right? To realize, oh, these things were unknown to me and now they're known. In Inner Management Mastery, we've been talking about weather patterns and how when weather comes into the garden, right, seeds get what they need and they sprout. Well, we have these seeds within us and they're unconscious. That's what he's talking about, this unconscious stuff, these ways that we interact and react with life that we're not even aware of until we get into a relationship and it's in our face. And we like to blame the other. But when we realize, oh, this is mine, and thank goodness the relationship created the weather so it could be seen, now we're getting somewhere. That's evolution. That's your ticket to salvation. That's the path to enlightenment. And Charlotte says it works, but it's hard. Yeah. And that's why there's tools. That's why in Mastery, right, I've given several tools to these guys that the yogis have developed. And it's so in alignment, right, with what Eckhart Tolle is talking about, from yoga nidra to yoga therapy. Hopefully it's hitting more for those guys that have that context. But there's hope, right? It's not like we're just left to figure this out. There's ways to do it. People before us have figured it out, and they left clues. So I thought it was interesting. He then kind of got into these dynamics of like, okay, but what if my partner like refuses to become enlightened and doesn't care? What if we both want to do this? What if my partner isn't even aware that this could be a conversation? Like they're just still kind of like unconscious and not awake. What if my partner claims that they are spiritual and doing a spiritual practice, but really like they're not? I thought it was really fascinating. Like that was kind of the meat of the next part of this conversation. And the essence was, I mean, with the first thing, right on page 132, he says, it doesn't take both of you. You are not going to find your enlightenment through another. You have to do it within you. It's through going into the now. It's through all the ways we've talked about up to this point. Through noticing the space, noticing the silence, noticing your body, noticing the reactions you're having. That awareness is the light of awareness. When you're just allowing everything to just be and going, oh, interesting what's shown up. That sets you free. Not the partner. But the partner can create the weather, so that's great. So it's nice to have, but not required, right? Not required. And so he says, you do not have to wait for the world to become sane or for somebody else to become conscious before you can become enlightened. You may wait forever if you decide to wait for that. I thought that was just very poignant, right? It's don't look at the other. Oh, well, my husband needs to read this or my husband needs to do that. No, they don't. No, they don't. You need to be it. You need to embody it, and it might open it up for them. All right? Marie says, this is so true. It's within you. Yeah, exactly. Did anyone else highlight this piece about judgment? Did that pop out at anybody? I don't know why this hit me so much. It was like not even the main point of what he was talking about, but on page 133, he says, when your partner behaves unconsciously, relinquish all judgment. Judgment is either to confuse someone's unconscious behavior with who they are, or to protect your own unconsciousness, project your own unconsciousness onto another person and mistake that for who they are. I thought this was huge because I think judgment happens like this. Angela said this jumped out to her too. Yeah. Judgment happens so quick. We're very quick to judge. And what he's saying is realize if judgment comes up in you, one of two things is happening. Either number one, you're judging some unconscious behavior in them, right? Not the essence of the being that is there. How could you judge the divine? Come on, right? How dare you do that? But you are judging this past that's playing out in them, right? This stuff, this unconscious stuff in them. You're judging that. And how dare you judge? Because you have it too. Right? That's what he's trying to say. And the second part is, number one, you're either mistaking that for the truth of who they are, which is not who they are, or it's the world mirroring itself to you, right? The sunglasses are reflecting, who you actually are. What you're viewing is your own judgments about yourself, and you're projecting it onto them. I had someone mistakenly call me one time, or they called me and they didn't turn, or it's like their phone called me and they left a voicemail and I could hear the entire conversation. They didn't know that I could hear, right? They did not realize. And something was said along the lines of, well, they only call me when they want something, right? And me, they were talking about me. And I sat with that and I thought, it's not true, right? Like, I know me. I don't just make that phone call because I want something, And I thought, wait a second, that's a judgment being cast. But I think it was the second thing. I think this person calls me when they want something. And so they turned it and saw within me what was actually within them. And it was fascinating that it was caught on voicemail. So, because they've never said this to my face, but I heard it said. And it was always sat with me. And I was like, oh. And when I read this, it like clicked. It totally clicked of like, oh, like, I'm glad that I wasn't like, I don't think I've ever shown up in that way, but the person was projecting their own inner stuff on me. Was that a helpful example? I don't know if I'm articulating it well, but it made a lot of sense to me. And I was like, oh, there's an example of it showing up. Yeah. So he also got into other things. What happens if you both agree to use your relationship as a spiritual practice, and what to do if your partner won't, right? And how, you can be in a relationship. I mean, this sounded beautiful. If you both can use your relationship as a spiritual practice, he said, instead of mirroring to each other your pain and your unconsciousness, instead of satisfying your mutual addictive ego needs, you will reflect back to each other the love that you feel deep within, the love that comes with the realization of your oneness with all that is. This is the love that has no opposite. Like, that's the world I want to live in. That's the relationship I think everyone deserves to be in. And it's about when you do your inner work, and they do too, all of a sudden, we talked about this before. I don't know if you guys remember, like this, let's pretend this is the divine within you. And when it's clear and it can connect to source, it reflects the divine. It reflects that light. But if it gets murky and muddy and identified with the ego and the past and all this stuff and these preferences, it's going to reflect that muck, right? It's not going to be all bright and shiny and rainbows. And what he's saying is that if you use your relationship to deal with the muck, to deal with the stuff that's getting kicked up, you can move that out, and you can now reflect within one another this divinity, which is just pure love. Beautiful. Beautiful. And don't expect the other to do it, right? You do it first, okay? You take the step, you take the initiative, you ask then if your partner is interested, right? Have them read the book, and maybe you can have a discussion point from there. So he says, if your partner won't do it, eventually your partner is going to have a hard time living with you. You won't have a hard time living with them because you will accept them for who they are. You will accept all that is. But they said, it's very challenging for an ego to live with someone that is purely light, because the ego needs conflict. The ego needs to externalize. The ego needs irritation. It needs the battle. It needs the separateness, because that's how it gets its identity. And so if you start to shift and change and become all allowing, right? Typically relationships, this happens. Ego butts against ego. I'm right, you're wrong, you're triggering me, blah, 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 blah. And it's an explosion. But if one all of a sudden just says, well, I receive you and I love you, it's like it will dissolve the ego. Or if the ego is so strong, it will get so angry, it will leave. It'll separate, like what do you say, oil and water. The two can't coexist. So if you take the initiative, if you become this best version of you, your true self, you work through all your stuff, you can be that in the relationship, be all loving. Who's in? High five me. Put a 5 in the chat. Like, I'm in. I'm working on it. I'm going there. Things are always unfolding for me to move in that direction. I hope you are too. It's the world that we are creating together with our beautiful book club. Yes, Charlotte is, Fritz is, nice. Angela is. I think there's a little delay with me and you guys. It's like a 30-second delay. Karen says, yeah, it works. It does. You did such a beautiful example of this just the last week. Yes. Just receiving people for who they are. Loving your spouse for who they are. Love heals, guys. Give what you're missing. Be what you're seeking. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So, the next part of this, we got 10 minutes. I think this part makes sense, right? Are we all feeling good? So how to use relationships as your sadhana. See your reaction and don't let your ego take off with it. Just notice it for what it is and then receive it. Like the sky receives the weather. All right. Fritz says, do you think the process can actually be fun? I think so. Yes. I have fun with this. I literally every day when I'm in conversation and I see stuff get kicked up, I'm like, oh, look at that. Oh, there's more in there. Oh, look at that. Like I get curious. It's like a little kid, like exploring the world. There's just a joy about it of like, stop taking yourself so damn seriously, right? Rule number 6 from our last book club. And just have fun going like, there's no judgment to these things that are within us. And it's like, oh, look, I wonder where that came from. Well, who cares? Let's get rid of it, right? On to the next, like be an explorer within. So I agree with you, Fritz. Let's have fun with this. 100%. It's not worth doing if it's not fun. All right. He also says, if you see in the relationship, if you see the other reacting unconsciously, receive them, right? Be the loving presence. If you see yourself doing it, then, use some tools. I would say for those of you in inner management mastery, use yoga therapy, right? Use your yoga nidra. Use the tools you have to help just move the mind aside so you can receive what's showing up. All right, the last half of the chapter, I was like, oh, I had no idea. When he said women are closer to enlightenment, I read that and I went, why? Why and how? Gonna go listen to Wayne Dyer again, Lou? Yes, good idea. So he says, generally speaking, it's easier for a woman to feel and be in her body, so she is naturally closer to being and potentially closer to enlightenment than a man. This is why many ancient cultures instinctively chose female figures or analogies to represent or describe the formless and transcendental reality. I thought it was fascinating. He started talking about the Tao. He started talking about, the divine mother, the womb of existence, all of these things that, Mother Earth, right, in Native American culture. There's so much that in the past was looked at with that feminine. And he says, and this is so fascinating, when the mind took over and humans lost touch with the reality of the divine essence, right, we forgot our being, we identified just with the mind, they started to think of God as a male figure. So interesting. Society became male dominated, and the female was made subordinate to the male. And this is interesting because, right, the feminine energy, well, it flows. If you think about your body, the energy in your body, it's dominated by the mind. It goes where the mind tells it to go. And when we lose touch with the power of that energy, it's dominated by the mind and it's subservient to the mind. And it's really limiting its potential. But if you can set the mind aside, that divine energy can open up and beautiful things can happen. Yeah, Luke, awesome for menses to be a good time of the month. Yeah, and in society, like women that are having their period, it's looked at as like, oh, it's that time. Oh, she's getting, hormonal. She's getting crazy. This was such a different perspective on that. I was like, oh, what? I've got the potential to transmute energy on a collective consciousness level every month. Women are amazing. I read this and I was like, women need to know, right? Women need to know. So you guys listening, sorry, but support your woman in this. So he basically says, where's a good example? But he basically says that it can become an opportunity for enlightenment. The emotional or physical pain that for many women precedes or coincides with the menstrual flow is the pain body in its collective aspect that awakens from its dormancy at that time. So we have our own internal pain body from our past experiences, right? But we also have the collective consciousness because we're all one. And so collectively over millennia, there's been a lot that has happened to that feminine energy. And I had no idea. But I mean, women, hello. Yeah, sometimes it feels like something else takes you over and you're like, this isn't me. This is not me. There's a very intense energy within me and it makes me very irritable. And he's saying, yeah, that is that collective aspect. And I agree, women are blessed. Let's let the information be shared. But he says this pain is a collective thing. And so don't let it take you over. Instead, use it, transmute it, use it as the opening. He says that, women are regaining the function that's their birthright. And it comes to them more naturally than it does to men, because women are the bridge between the manifested world and the unmanifested world, right? Women give birth. So they go from, things come from unmanifest to manifest through a woman. And so it's going to be more easily done in the opposite way. All right? Super powerful. I was like reading this going, holy cow. So your job monthly is to transmute this. It's to take all of this and turn it into beautiful self-awareness. There's a term called a grunty in yogic teachings. It's an energy block. So when things are moving through, or this collective consciousness, like there's pain associated, it can get shut down. And what they say is that it literally can like solidify and become a block. And the way to get rid of a block is to just be with it. There's nothing you have to do but shine the light of awareness on it. It's so simple, you could miss it, right? It's like, what do you do with a sad child? You hold it. You're just there with it. You can't do anything but be with it until the emotion runs. It's the same with these grunties, with these knots, with this stuff that comes up monthly for a woman. Just be with it. Shed the light of awareness on it. Don't allow it to take you over. Let it be there and allow it to be. Don't resist it. Don't push it away. Don't go, oh my God, I don't want to identify with this. I'm not crazy. It's making me feel like a lunatic. Just let it be. And that can melt the ice, right? And turn it back into that divine prana. Just incredible. Incredible what he's sharing here. And he says, it is the living past in you. And if you identify with it, you identify with the past. A victim identity is the belief that the past is more powerful than the present, which is the opposite of the truth. So many of us live in the past. I just had somebody today talking to me about a past relationship and stuff going on, and I thought, why are you bringing that into the now? This was gone years ago, right? What can we do with it now? Nothing. Bring the light of awareness and be present now. That's all you can do. That's all you can do. So, any comments or questions or things that you all wanted to say about that? I thought it was really interesting. And he also said, and I thought this, I see a lot of sometimes feminists, like they're really angry. And he says, don't be angry. Like, that's identifying with that collective consciousness. It's not saying, well, this was unjust and it's not okay. It's no resentment. It's no condemnation. It's just going, oh, there's pain here. There's a child crying here. Let's be with it. Let's transmute it. Let's let it flow. Let's let it be freed. Powerful. Different conversation than I ever thought we would have on book club, but hey, here we are. Pretty fascinating. So he says, what do you do with it, right? I'll talk about this again, about this idea of the grunty. On page 142, he says, watch the turbulence inside of you. Know it is there. Hold the knowing and be the knowing. Remember, do not let the pain body use your mind and take over your thinking. Just watch it. Feel its energy directly inside of your body. As you know, full attention means full acceptance. You're allowing it to be, just like you would allow the child to be. And this goes for you too, with anything emotional. This is how you deal with it. He says, through sustained attention and thus acceptance, there comes transmutation. When you allow it to be, when you just accept what's there, it shouldn't be a different way, whether you condone it or not, whether you agree with it or not, it is what it is. So if you can just be with it, you will transmute it. I think this is the key to life, okay? Lou says, I have witnessed the collective consciousness during childbirth, right? Working with a midwife. Gals gaining strength, connecting to their female through generations. I never thought about the menstrual cycle, beginning and ending, i.e. menopausal. Yeah, there's a lot here to unpack. When Angela said I'm going to have to read this chapter multiple times, I was like, yes. Because there's a lot more than we can unpack in 30 minutes. We're at 30 minutes. So, fascinating topic. Interesting to go through and to understand. we'll wrap there, guys. And we'll move into chapter 9. He says, beyond happiness and unhappiness, there is peace. So chapter 9, we'll read, I think we do about 10 pages a week. That seems to work pretty well. So why don't we read to the end of page, I think it's page 158, right before this question is asked. Seems like a fine stopping point. So using and relinquishing negativity on 156, and then that ends on 158. I'll put it in the Telegram chat. Okay, so basically we're reading 147 to 158. And we'll be back next week to discuss anything you want to talk about. In the meantime, please talk about on Telegram. If you process any more of this stuff, super interesting, please do it there. So as always, if you got value from this, share it, tag a friend. I think that collectively humanity needs to have this awareness, and it starts with us and it ripples out. So thank you guys for being here. It's always a pleasure on Monday mornings to spend it with you, contemplating these things and having these discussions. Lots of love to all of you.